The Grand Colosseum of Vailthara had stood for 6,000 years, its obsidian spires scraping the violet sky of a moon that orbited no planet, a place built outside the jurisdiction of any empire, precisely so that every empire could gather within it. The Beast Summit was older than the Colosseum itself. It had begun in the Age of Wars, when species would bring their most terrifying creatures to the negotiating table as a demonstration of power. Over the millennia it had evolved into something more civilized, a tournament, a spectacle, a diplomatic theater where raw strength spoke louder than any treaty. Commander Kale of the Vreth Dominion stood on the elevated observation platform and surveyed the floor below with his 4 amber eyes. Tall, gray-skinned, and built like something that had never lost a war, Kale had organized this year's summit himself. It had taken 3 standard cycles of diplomatic correspondence. He was proud of what he had assembled. On the arena floor, behind reinforced containment fields, the delegates' beasts waited. The Dravery had brought a stone-clad leviathan, 12 meters of armored scales and seismic tremors, a creature whose footstep cracked bedrock. It had already shattered 2 sections of the entrance corridor simply by breathing heavily. The Mektal Collective had arrived with a swarm sovereign, a singular organism composed of 6 million synchronized insectoid components that could dismantle a starship hull in 4 minutes and reassemble itself after any wound. It had no brain in the classical sense. It simply wanted, and what it wanted, it consumed. The Yalori had contributed a silence hunter, a predator that existed partially outside standard spacetime, whose presence caused electromagnetic collapse in a 15-meter radius. Scanners couldn't track it. Cameras showed only static. You knew it was there when everything stopped working, and then it was too late. Each delegation had spent decades, some centuries, selecting their entry. The message was simple and universal: we are powerful, treat us accordingly. Kale watched the final delegation enter. The humans. They walked in with the easy, slightly distracted energy that Kale had come to associate with their species after years of cautious diplomacy, like beings who were perpetually about to remember something important they'd forgotten to do. Their representative was a woman with short dark hair and what Kale's cultural briefing described as a practical expression. She wore a simple gray uniform. She carried a bag over one shoulder. And in her other hand, she carried a small plastic box with a metal grate on one end. It was approximately half a meter long. It had a handle. Kale leaned forward. His aide, Sub-Commander Drev, appeared at his elbow. "Is that," Drev began. "A carrying case," Kale confirmed. "A small one." The human woman, Maya, according to the manifest, designated as Beast Handler, Earth Delegation, set the carrier down on the arena floor with the casual confidence of someone placing luggage on a conveyor. She straightened, looked around at the other beasts with mild interest, and then crouched down and began unlatching the front grate. The arena went very quiet. The stone-clad leviathan, which had been idly grinding its teeth against the containment field, stopped. The swarm sovereign's 6 million components paused their restless reconfiguration. Even the silence hunter, which technically had no visible form, seemed to still. Maya opened the carrier door. There was a pause. Then a small, orange animal walked out. It sat down immediately, looked at the assembled megafauna of 12 civilizations, and yawned, a slow, contemptuous yawn that displayed small white teeth and a curling pink tongue. Then it began to wash its face with one paw. The silence stretched. "That," said Drev, "is approximately 4 kilograms. "Yes," said Kale. "The Leviathan is 12,000 kilograms. "I'm aware." "Commander, is this an insult?" Kale did not answer immediately. He was watching Maya. She had stood back up, crossed her arms, and was observing the arena with the expression of someone who had brought exactly what they meant to bring and had no doubts about it whatsoever. Below, the Dravery lead diplomat turned to his handler with a gesture that translated roughly across species lines as "what is this nonsense?" The Mektal pheromone speakers began emitting rapid confusion signals. A dozen delegation whisper channels lit up with variations of the same message. Kale activated his own calm human delegate. "This is Commander Kale. I need to ask, is there a translation error? The summit requires a beast. Your most dangerous creature." The entry requirements were specified. Maya looked up at the observation platform. She found his position unerringly, which Kale noted. He wasn't lit from below. She had simply known. "I read the requirements," she said. Her translator rendered the words in clean, flat breath standard. "Most dangerous creature we have. Here she is." Another pause. "That is a cat," said Kale. "Correct. It is grooming itself. She does that." Down below, the orange cat, apparently named Duchess, according to the official entry form Kale now frantically pulled up, had finished washing her face and was now walking slowly along the edge of the containment field, tail raised, inspecting the energy barrier with the focused attention of a quality control inspector. She batted at it once, decided it wasn't interesting enough, and turned to investigate the direction of the Silence Hunter. The Silence Hunter, which had survived 17 military engagements and was classified by 4 separate species as an existential threat, retreated 2 full meters. Kale stared. "Explain," he said flatly. Maya tilted her head. "You want the full version or the short version?" "Short." "Cats have been living with humans for 12,000 years, Maya said. That's longer than most of your civilizations have had writing. In that time, they have domesticated themselves to us, which sounds soft, until you realize what that means. They chose us. They didn't need to. They were already effective apex predators. They made a calculation and decided humans were useful. They've been making that calculation every day since, and every day they choose to stay." She paused. "They are creatures that look at a being 10 times their size and feel nothing. No fear response. None. We've studied it. A cat's nervous system does not produce the neurochemical cascade associated with predator recognition when encountering large animals. They don't see something big and feel afraid. They see something big and wonder if they can fit inside it or knock it off a ledge." Below, Duchess had approached the containment field bordering the Swarm Sovereign's section. The Sovereign, 6 million coordinated organisms, had backed into a corner and compacted itself into the smallest possible configuration. "They hunt," Maya continued, "not from hunger but from preference. They have killed entire island ecosystems on Earth, bird species, reptile species, small mammal species, not because they needed food, but because they liked it. We have had to pass laws. Actual legislation. To stop them from exterminating things." On the arena floor, Duchess sat down directly in front of the Swarm Sovereign's containment field, stared at it for a long moment, and then began to paw methodically at the energy barrier. Each paw tap was light, exploratory, and entirely without fear. The Swarm Sovereign's 6 million components shuffled tighter. "They scream," Maya added, almost as an afterthought. "At 3 a.m. For no reason. No threat. No stimulus. They simply decide to scream, and they do, and there is nothing you can do about it. We have studied this also. We don't know why. They know something we don't." Kale was no longer looking at Maya. He was watching Duchess, who had now turned away from the Swarm Sovereign, apparently bored, and was sitting in the exact center of the arena floor, tail wrapped around her paws, looking at nothing in particular. Looking through everything, really. The distant, contemplative gaze of a creature that existed on a different plane of concern than the universe around it. The stone-clad Leviathan had moved to the far side of its enclosure. "Commander," said Drev quietly, "the Silence Hunter has left the arena." Kale looked. The static on the cameras that always indicated the hunter's presence was gone. The hunter had, at some point in the last 90 seconds, simply left. Kale looked back at Maya. Maya was watching him with an expression that was not quite a smile but was adjacent to one, the expression of someone who has made their point and is waiting politely for acknowledgement. She won't hurt anyone, Maya said. Probably. As long as no one makes sudden movements, or looks at her wrong, or sits in her spot. She paused. Actually, just don't make eye contact and you should be fine. Usually. Kale was quiet for a long moment. Earth delegation, he said finally, into the comm your entry is accepted. Below, Duchess yawned again, lay down in the center of the arena, and closed her eyes. She looked like she owned the place. She probably did. From the official records of the Vaelthera Beast Summit, Cycle 6144. The human delegation's entry, a Felis catus of the orange tabby variety, was unanimously awarded the summit's distinction of most unsettling presence by a vote of 11-0. The Vreth Dominion representative abstained. When asked for comment, Commander Kale stated only, "We should have read their history more carefully." The Cat Duchess is reported to have slept through the awards ceremony.